Coming up on Transformers University, we're going to wrap up our 1986 toy coverage by heading down to South America. In countries like Brazil, Peru, Argentina, and Venezuela, we found all sorts of oddities and rarities, and we'll talk about them right now on Transformers University. Hello, my friend, and welcome to Transformers University. I am your host, Anthony Brucali, owner-operator, madman behind TFU.info, the website, the Toy Archive, this podcast, TFU News and Views Podcast, the YouTube channel, and oh so much more. And I am so happy to have you here for episode 87 of Transformers University. I have been excited about this one since we started doing 1986 episodes. Mainly because this is one of the most interesting portions of the G1 toy line. If you like weird, non-standard colored versions of some of the more notable toys from the 80s, the South American lines are certainly ones you should be looking at. Now, I put this into 1986 because I'm not entirely sure where it fits. There hasn't been a lot of information about South American Transformers up until recently. Now, let me explain that a little. There's always been some information about South American Transformers. There's just never been a lot of information about South American Transformers. It is pretty hard to to find information about it up until recently, thanks to Facebook of all places, and two, accurate information, especially around things involving years and carded samples and things like that, things that could kind of help us demystify some of this information. So some of these figures may have been released in 1985. Some of these figures may have been released in 1987. For the sake of this podcast, for simplicity's sake, since there's not a lot of figures all around, we're going to put these all into 1986 because that seems to be the center point of the releases in South America. Now, we're going to focus on 4 countries that we know about in terms of releasing toys. I don't know if the smaller countries in South America had anything else specific to them. It is not really out there, but the big players and the big countries in this, if you're interested in collecting South American Transformers, these are the 4 countries you want to focus on, and that is Brazil, Peru, Argentina, and Venezuela. Now, don't forget, Mexico also had its own line of Transformers toys that varied somewhat from the American releases, and we covered that back in episode 74, but that is North America, and we're going to talk about South America. Now, the first of these and the largest of these toy lines comes from Brazil. Now, Brazil had their Transformers lines distributed by a company called Estrela, Estrela, 1 L. Sometimes people spell it with 2 L's. That is not how it is spelled. And they offered toys in 4 size classes. Now, before I jump into the size classes and things like that, I think it's very important to note here that the most important thing and the most common thing between all these toy lines, because, in fact, some of these countries only had these as their toy lines, is that if you like mini-bots, if you like the first-year mini-bots, the Bumblebee and Brawn and Cliffjumper, Huffer, those figures, those are ones that comprise a lot of what we're going to talk about today. Hey, want to help out this podcast or the website tfu.info? There's a number of ways you can do it. Let me tell you how. You can help us directly by joining our Patreon and enrolling as a student at Transformers University. There, you'll get early access to the podcast as well as exclusive behind-the-scenes peeks and perks for as little as $1 a month. Sign up is quick and easy. Just swing on by to www.patreon.com/tfuinfo. Another way you can help us is by using our Amazon link, www.tfu.info/Amazon.
Type that into your browser whenever you want to shop at Amazon, and a portion of what you spend will be contributed back to us. It's that easy. Finally, you don't become the world's longest running transforming toy archive without some help from other fans. We're always on the hunt for photos of figures and accessories we're missing from our pages. If you'd like to contribute, go to tfu.info/help for a list of what we need, or send an email to info@tfu.info. tfu.info, the Alpha Trion and Omega Prime of transforming toys. Now, back to the show.
Now, the first country we're going to talk about is Brazil.
Brazil!
Because they have the largest of these South American lines. In fact, they had toys in 4 different size classes. The first size class is known as the Saltman size class, and these are what we know in North America as the Jump Starters. And these were Jump Starters available in unique colors. The first being Saltman X, which is what we know as Topspin. He was available in 2 colors. He was available with a white chest and red limbs, and he was available in an off-white chest with olive green limbs, and that version actually was resold in Argentina in 1994. So there is also an Argentinian G2 version of that. Additionally, there was Saltman Z, which was Twin Twist, and you could find him with a yellow chest and black limbs, or an orange chest and blue limbs. Second of these size classes was a line of figures called Bat Robo. Now, these were molds created by a Japanese company called Fujisho, and this was sold in the United States, but not as Transformers. They were sold by a company called Ertl in a toy line called Powertrons.
Powertrons, they're alive. In a secret lab, his Professor Zahn. His inventions are called the Powertrons. Their secret is their machines that drive, but in an instant, they're really alive. Powertrons, they're alive.
Icon and Destroid have evil ways, but up jumps Sumar and Turboid to save the day.
Powertrons, they're alive.
Powertrons, each sold separately by Ertl.
Now, these toys were licensed by Estrella as part of their Transformers line. The gimmick was that they auto-transformed via a pullback motor. So you would pull the toy back, the toy would roll in its vehicle form until it bumped into something, and then the front end would release a spring and the figure would transform from bumping into something. Now, these were available in 2 styles, each with 2 colors. There was Pickup, who was available in orange or green and was a pickup truck. And then there was Turbo, who was a sports car available in red or blue. Now, the next size class was called Electrix. That's Electrix. And these were transforming vehicles that featured a wired remote control. These were sold in the United States by a company called Village Toys as Convert-A-Bots. And they're based off a Japanese line of toys called Remote Change Robo. Yeah, that's a very unique name. And those were made by Yonezawa Toys. These were featured in 3 different styles. The Esporte, which was a red Camaro, the Hipe, which was a blue Jeep, and the Porsche, which was a black Porsche 930. Finally, and this is the most important one, the Robocars, what we know as mini-bots. And before I get into the mini-bots, I do want to tell you, we're going to recap at the end of this show by mold, because each mold is available very differently in each country. And I do want to make sure that we break it down by mold, so that if you collect a particular mold or you want to know all the versions of one of these molds in South America, that we can kind of break it down for you that way. Now, oddly enough, in Brazil, 6 of the 7 initial molds were available as part of Estrella's Transformers line. Now, the odd thing here is that, yes, in the United States, all 7 were available, but 6 of them were only named, the 7th being Bumper or Bumble Jumper. In Brazil, the one that was left out was Huffer. It's very bizarre. Additionally, the Estrella Robocars used stickers to replace the Autobot logos on each of the figures. So the first figure we'll talk about here is Camaro, aka Windcharger. He was sold in the standard red and gray with a yellow and blue chest sticker. That same sticker was available on a version of Camaro in white and gray. The figure, not the sticker. Cliff Jumper in Brazil was called Carrera, and he was available in red with a different sticker on the rear of his head and different chest sticker. He was also available in gold with the same set of stickers, and both of those versions had the Dunlop logo removed from the tires. Jipe, Jipe, aka Braun, was available in his standard green with, I would say they're cheaper stickers. He was also available in tan with a white cream-colored chest. Pickup, better known as Gears, was available in his standard blue and red with sticker changes, and he was available in orange, replacing the blue, and a darker orange, replacing the red. Volks, aka Bumblebee, had the Dunlop tires removed from both versions, and he was available in his standard yellow with the sticker changes, and silver. Finally, that brings us to the bumper Bumble Jumper mold, and that was called Sedan, which is technically the first official name for this mold on a Transformers toy. In fact, he has a unique tech spec and art on his card, and he was available not in the yellow like he was in the United States, but in white and blue. Now, that tech spec does have a translation on the internet thanks to our friends over at toyarchive.com, and it reads as follows. His function is strategy. His quote, "To be in the right place at the right time, this is the key to victory." Robocar Sedan is not super quick nor an extraordinary force, but he is unsurpassed in his specialty, strategic planning of the missions of all the Robocars. His capacity for analysis and his logical reasoning are so highly developed that frequently he anticipates future events and plans devastating surprise attacks against the enemy. He is cold-blooded and calculating. And that's all we really know about Sedan or Bumper or Bumble Jumper based off of this Brazilian translated tech spec. Now, that's the first series of Robocars sold in Brazil. There was a second series of Robocars sold under the line Optimus versus Malignus. Now, the Optimus and Malignus were the factions. They each had their own unique faction logo. The Optimus characters were the good guys. The Malignus characters were the bad guys. The Optimus faction logo was kind of cat-like, and the Malignus logo was kind of this monstery, toothy thing. But it means we got some really unique decos for these Minibots molds. Now, on the Optimus side, there was Carrera, aka Cliff Jumper, and available in blue or white. So each character had two different color schemes released under Optimus versus Malignus. Sedan was available in green or yellow, and Volks was available in red or orange. On the Malignus side, we had Camaro, aka Windcharger, available in purple with pink, and then also available in turquoise with yellow. Pickup, aka Gears, was available in green with purple replacing the red portions of his legs. That basically gives him Constructicon colors. And additionally, there was a wine red version with maroon parts. Finally, Jipe, aka Braun, was available in blue with a gray chest and black with a purple chest. And really, search out a lot of these, and I'm sure I'll include some of these in this show's artwork. They are just gorgeous versions of the Minibots and so worth checking out. And so that takes us from Brazil to Argentina. And Argentinian Transformers were released by a company called Antex. They would later release G2 figures as well. And their line basically featured toys in two different size classes. First, we had the Saltman figures, the Jump Starters, as they are in North America. And those were Saltman X, just like in Brazil, and he was available in green and white, so that is Topspin in green and white, and Saltman Z, which is Twin Twist, available in blue and yellow. Those are the highlighting colors, not additional color variations, so one color version for each in Argentina. Additionally, there were the Robocars, the mini-bots as they're called here, and it's worth mentioning that these are some of the easier to find South American mini cars because they cropped up in the early 2000s carded at Transformers conventions. I don't know if there were just case assortments that were found or what, but I remember I think I own 3 or 4 of these Argentinian figures, and I bought them carded for like $40 each. And yeah, they're on eBay now for like $200 each, but believe it or not, that's fairly cheap compared to what we're going to get into later in this episode. So the Argentinian Robocars only featured 3 molds, and that was Camaro, Windcharger, available in blue with a black body and yellow with a black body. Carrera, aka Cliffjumper, available in white or green, and Volks, aka Bumblebee, available in red or orange. And the other thing to note here is that Carrera and Volks all featured different stickers from the Brazilian versions and the North American versions. And that'll take us to Peru and a company called Linsa. That's Lynsa. Now, Linsa also distributed Transformers under the company names Hude, Hude, and Basa, Basa, in Peru, as well as in Chile under the name of a company called Abramowitz. Now, those 3 companies all featured kind of the mainline stuff, whereas Linsa in Peru distributed mini-bots, Robocars. And now, strangely enough, they had 6 of the molds in Peru as well, but instead of sedan, Peru got Huffer. Additionally, all the figures had the United States names, and they featured no chrome on the figures and plastic tires instead of rubber tires on the figures that did have rubber tires. So someone like Bumblebee no longer had rubber tires but plastic tires, and Bumblebee was available in his standard yellow as well as peach. There's an article written by my friend Maz over at tf1.com. Says it was possibly available in red, but I have not seen a sample or source of that yet. And I should take a moment here to note, I got a lot of great information and photos of these figures to kind of look over on Facebook. There's a private group on Facebook called TF Minibot Collectors, and it is an amazing resource for information and photos of South American minibots and minibots from around the world. So as I mentioned, the Bumblebee was available in yellow as well as this peach color. The Linsa Bumblebee also features no chrome on the faces and no silver on the figure. So that means the figure only has the solid plastic cover on his face, and his visor and everything else are all yellow or peach or whatever color the base figure is. That goes the same for Cliffjumper, who was available in Peru in both red and peach. Gears was available in the standard blue and red, along with a dark blue with yellow highlights and an orange with yellow highlight pieces. On all of these, no chrome on his legs, so they are standard plastic colors. Brawn is available in green with a cream-colored body instead of his standard yellow, and a cream color with a green body. And once again, his arms are not chromed, they use his body color. Finally, Windcharger was available in his standard red and gray, along with a gray version with a blue body, and no chrome on his thighs on any of these. Now, finally, the most unique version to come out of Peru is Huffer. And in fact, there are 4 different versions of Huffer, and none of them are the standard orange and blue colors that you would see in the United States. In fact, there's no chrome on any of these versions of him. He is available in peach with a blue body. He is available in peach with a yellow body. He is available in red with a yellow body, and he is available in blue with a yellow body. Finally, that takes us to the last country we're going to cover in this episode, and that is Venezuela, and a company called Rubiplas. And that is spelled Rubiplas, and they produced mini vehicles for Venezuela. These toys didn't have the Autobot symbols factory applied, but they were available inside of the packages. And this is one of the companies that we're learning more and more about every day. And thanks to that Facebook group and the very dedicated Transformer Minibot collectors that are out there, we're learning so much more about what was available in this line. So from what I could gather, only 5 of the first 6 mini vehicles were available. They did have the U.S. names. Gears was not available in Venezuela. Brawn was available in a lighter shade of green and yellow, and it was also available in his normal colors. These did have chrome, so his arms were chromed on the Venezuelan version. Bumblebee was available in yellow. He was available in yellow with a painted bumper, which I don't know is a QC issue or not, but according to some of these collectors, there is a yellow and a yellow version with a painted bumper, the bumper being painted black. And then there is also a red version. These all feature plastic wheels, and Bumblebee, and I believe it was Cliffjumper as well, most notably have a small factory mark dent on the center of the top of their roof. I'm guessing it's somewhere where the machining kind of latched in. That's probably the easiest way to tell the Rubiplas version from the Linsa versions. Huffer was available in red with yellow parts, red with a brighter yellow parts, and features different rivets than the Linsa version, which is one way to tell them apart because the colors can be somewhat similar. Windcharger was available in his standard red with gray, and his thighs were chromed, and from what I can see, it looks normal to the North American version, but it may be the rivets or something along those lines in addition to the production stamp that make that Windcharger different. Finally, Cliffjumper was available in yellow with plastic tires and no chrome, and red with plastic tires and no chrome. And yes, Cliffjumper features the dent on the roof. So if you love Minibot variations, check out TF Minibot Collectors group on Facebook. It is a source of some just beautiful photos and pictures of these figures. Now, as I said earlier, we will break this down by mold to help you collect and figure out which version of which character you would like in your collection, or if you wanted to try to hunt them all down. This is a handy list. Just going by the numbers here, Bumblebee has the most versions spread out across these 4 South American countries with 12. Cliffjumper right behind him with 10, and Windcharger with 9. There are 8 Bronze, 7 Gears, 6 Huffers, and 4 versions of Bumper. And yes, I am using the U.S. names to kind of loop them all in. So starting with Bumblebee, here's the breakdown. There's a yellow version from Brazil. There is a silver version from Brazil. There is a red version from Brazil, and there is an orange version from Brazil. There is a red version from Argentina, an orange version from Argentina, a yellow version from Peru, a peach version from Peru, potentially a red version from Peru, a yellow version from Venezuela, a yellow version with a painted bumper from Venezuela, and a red version from Venezuela. For Cliffjumper, he was available in red, gold, blue, and white in Brazil, white and green in Argentina, red and peach in Peru, and red and yellow in Venezuela. Bumper was only available in Brazil, and he was available in 4 colors, white, blue, green, or yellow. Gears was only available in 2 countries, Brazil and Peru. He was available in blue, orange, green, and wine red in Brazil, as well as blue, darker blue, and orange in Peru. Huffer was only available in Peru and Venezuela, but was available in 6 different variations. In Peru, he was available in peach with yellow, in peach with blue, in blue, and in red. In Venezuela, he was available in red with yellow and red with bright yellow. Braun was available in green, tan, blue, and black in Brazil. Green and cream in Peru, and green and lighter green in Venezuela. And finally, Windcharger was available in red, white, purple, or turquoise in Brazil, blue or yellow in Argentina, red or gray in Peru, and red in Venezuela. And I really hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I enjoyed putting it together. You know, the South American figures are such an, I don't want to say uncharted territory, but there is certainly a mystique and a mysteriousness to them because, one, there's not a lot of information out there. Two, they're terribly expensive for what they are because they are so rare. And three, because of basically a language barrier to some extent, gathering that information is not necessarily the easiest thing. And so I'm sure some of this information will change over time. Some new things may come to light as some of these barriers get broken and some of the mysteriousness and shroud gets lifted away. But for now, this is basically the best information I could cull together all in one place. And as someone who owns a couple of these figures, picked them up over the years, it's super fun and cool to see some of these well-known figures in such odd colors in your collection.
Thanks for listening to the show. Stick around to hear what's coming up next episode, but first, I want to fill you in on a few ways you can stay in touch with the show. Want to be on the show? Leave us a voicemail at 702-763-4838. That's 702-POD-4TFU. Or send an email to info@tfu.info. Be sure to catch us on Twitter at TFU_info and on Facebook and Instagram under the username TFUinfo, all one word. Also, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/TFUinfo, where we post all of our podcasts plus special video segments, reviews, and live coverage of Transformers-related events such as New York Toy Fair and New York Comic Con. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please visit us at www.tfu.info, the world's longest-running transforming toy archive.
And that will wrap things up for episode 87 of Transformers University. Next time on the show, and we are almost done with 1986, there's only a few more episodes left and a few more things to cover. And next time around, we're going to finish up 1986 for the Generation 1 cartoon. We're going to be talking about one of the most lauded episodes of Season 3. Some say it is the best looking Transformers single episode ever made. Want to know what it is? Well, you're just going to have to come back next time. Until then, I am your host, Anthony Brucali, owner, operator, madman at TFU.info. Until then, see ya.